There have been some changes in the perception and in the understanding of sexual violence and rape in particular as part of armed conflict, from what probably used to be some complete neglect for these crimes that for a very long time were just accepted as being part and parcel of war, and almost a sort of a spoil of war that was some of the rewards that combatants would be able to obtain from conflict, to a context where we now see those crimes being taken for what they are, namely crimes. They remain very, very specific crimes to the extent that very often, rather than the perpetrators being brought into justice, what we see is that the response of communities is to blame the victims, and that makes rape and sexual violence and other forms of sexual crimes very specific indeed. I came across this lady and she said that she had been gang raped, that her daughter had been gang raped, that in fact 2 of her younger children had also been killed in front of her own eyes. And she said, with all of that, how many more crimes do I need to suffer for someone to care and for someone to bring justice to me? This is really very indicative of how disempowered and neglected victims of rape, sexual violence, and generally of war crimes feel, unfortunately. We do see indeed a very large impunity for rape and sexual violence. One of the major reasons is the difficulty for victims to access justice. Victims of rape and sexual violence, especially in the context of armed conflict, have fears and have fears that reporting the crimes is going to expose them to not only additional threat and insecurity, but sometimes even the possibility of being raped again at the time they report. And that also exposes them to stigmatization, and that makes them, of course, not very keen to report those crimes. Even when they do report crimes, they also face a number of other difficulties. They may just not be able to have access to defense counsel. They may find that it is in fact very difficult to have the investigations and a whole range of other reasons, including the lack of forensic evidence, etc. Slowly things are improving. We have seen a number of wonderful developments in terms of accountability. I think that one of the shifting points was the creation and the work of the UN-backed international tribunals, notably the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Both of them have paid important attention to rape and sexual violence committed as part of armed conflict, but also rape and sexual violence being constitutive of the crime of genocide. And those major developments in the jurisprudence have probably helped mobilize attention at the international level, but also at the domestic level, and may serve and have served as catalyst for domestic accountability to also be fostered for those same crimes. The prosecution of the perpetrators is important because it gives victims satisfaction that their rights to remedy and to redress are met, but it's probably not enough. Providing reparations, both material reparations and symbolic reparations for victims is crucial. We need to think of an appropriate answer to rape and sexual violence, not only in terms of criminal prosecution, but in a much more holistic and comprehensive way through all of the tools of transitional justice.